The purpose of this video is to demonstrate how to conduct an experiment which may determine if an individual's cancer is caused by Candida. As a disclaimer, I would have to say that this information is not intended to be medical advice. I am not a physician, and you should consult a physician before trying anything I mention in this video. The information in this video is a hypothesis based on my anecdotal observations and is not intended to diagnose, cure, treat, or prevent any disease. This video is made for informational purposes only. Now that I have gotten that out of the way, I can get to the main idea of the video. There have been a number of peer-reviewed articles which implicate Candida in at least some form of cancers, and the opinion has been expressed online that most forms of cancers are caused by Candida. The way to test if your cancer is caused by Candida is very simple. Candida only eats carbohydrates, and if you stop eating carbohydrates and your cancer reacts, it will demonstrate evidence that your cancer is caused, at least in part, by Candida. I know of one individual who has prostate cancer, and he has indicated that he can essentially control the number of times at night he needs to urinate by starving or feeding the Candida. He has reported that by not eating any carbohydrates, the number of times he has to urinate at night decreases rapidly. However, when he begins eating carbohydrates again, the number of times he must urinate increases drastically as the cancer comes back with a vengeance. Once you try this and figure out that your cancer is caused by Candida, you simply repeat this experiment a number of times to be sure. There are numerous chemicals, etc., that are thought to cause cancer. In my opinion, they do not cause cancer. They merely weaken the body, and Candida comes in and causes cancer once the body has been sufficiently weakened. Once you stop eating carbohydrates, the body goes through ketosis, which can make you feel malaise. However, for most cancer patients, this malaise is better than the cancer. I have known individuals who killed all the Candida in their bodies by not eating carbohydrates for a month. They only ate meat, eggs, and fat, and low-carbohydrate vegetables such as asparagus, lettuce, broccoli, celery, and cauliflower. However, this is abusive to the kidneys, and while most people could tolerate it, some people with weaker kidneys could damage their kidneys by doing this. It is far more effective to concentrate on raising one's pH. By doing so, it makes the body inhospitable to Candida, and they slowly die off. Most cancer patients have a pH which is very low, and this allows Candida and a host of other undesirable microbes to thrive in their bodies. For a number of years, I did various activities and ate various things and tested my pH multiple times a day. I noticed that most of my experiences were consistent with what is widely reported online, and that is that feeling positive emotions raises my pH while negative emotions and stress decrease it. Eating vegetables generally raises my pH, while most other foods, especially dairy foods, lower it. Some things that I have noticed about my pH that are not widely reported online is that doing yoga increases my pH dramatically, and also socializing in person, not online, raises my pH. In addition, spending time in nature raises my pH. I test my pH using pH Hydrion paper, which has a pH testing range of 5.5 to 8.0, and a 15-foot roll of it costs about $10 on eBay. You should test at least 30 minutes after eating or drinking. Before testing, you should spit 3 times to remove existing saliva from your mouth. When testing with this paper, you will notice that your pH is lowest in the morning and gradually rises. An average pH might be 6.4 in the morning and 7.2 at night. The most common alternative treatment for cancer is to go on the all-raw diet or drinking raw vegetable juice. This provides a lot of nutrients, and it also raises the pH considerably. In my opinion, the main cancer-defeating effect of eating in this fashion is due to raising the pH, which makes the body less hospitable for Candida. However, one should mention that a lot of vegetables and fruits have been found to contain natural anti-cancer properties. I read an article from a peer-reviewed medical journal where the researchers took a bunch of cancer patients and gave them chemotherapy. Well, gave half of them chemotherapy and the other half spent 1 hour a day in the sun. The recovery rate in both groups was the same. According to the study, Going out in the sun for 1 hour a day provided the same effect as paying a medical doctor to poison them with radiation, costing thousands of dollars and causing immense pain. Which would you rather do? Clearly, being in the sun and getting vitamin D from that plays an important part in cancer recovery. I would also like to mention the Buteyko breathing method. There's a lot of information on it online, including YouTube videos, so my mention of this will only be brief. These breathing exercises were developed in Russia. I disagree on the mechanism of action put forth by the authors of this method. I believe it works because the human body naturally adapts to changing conditions. When my brother was in Peru living at sea level, he could hold his breath for 30 or 40 seconds. Then he went to live at a high elevation for a few months, and when he returned to sea level, he could hold his breath for 2 minutes. His body adapted to the lack of oxygen at the high altitude and increased his ability to absorb and distribute oxygen throughout his body. With the Buteyko breathing method, you essentially starve the body of oxygen for a short period of time, and the body reacts by putting more effort into making sure your body absorbs and distributes oxygen throughout your body. Peer-reviewed studies have been conducted in which individuals held their breath, and researchers noted how long they could hold their breath for. Then they took blood samples from them and found that those who could hold their breath for the longest had the most oxygen in their blood. Individuals trying the Buteyko breathing method should first establish a baseline by sitting still in a chair for a few minutes and then blow out most of their air and hold their breath. If they can hold their breath for 12 seconds, they use that as a baseline. When they do the Buteyko breathing exercises, they sit in a chair early in the morning before they eat anything. It can also be done throughout the day, but works best if the subject has not eaten food anytime soon. They sit in a chair and slow their breathing for 20 minutes at a time. This deprives the body of a portion of the oxygen it needs, and the body apparently reacts by increasing the body's ability to absorb and distribute oxygen throughout the body. Individuals should start out very slow with this breathing method and gradually increase the amount of time they do it until they can do it for 20 minutes 3 times a day. Again, I'll refer to the plethora of information that is online already about this. Individuals in extremely poor health should start out trying it for just 1 minute a day at first and gradually increase it. After doing it for a few days, they can hold their breath for a while and see if the exercises are increasing the absorption and distribution of oxygen throughout their body. This brief summary of the Buteyko breathing exercises is not enough for someone who has never done it before, and individuals should watch the YouTube videos that have been done on the subject before trying it. I have read articles talking about the success individuals have in treating cancer with sunlight, an alkalizing diet, and Buteyko breathing exercises. One would think it would be far more effective to do all of these in conjunction instead of just one separately. To summarize, if you have cancer, the first thing you may want to do is conduct an experiment to see if your cancer is caused by Candida. And you do this by starving it of carbohydrates and seeing how it reacts. After doing this several times to determine that your cancer is caused by Candida, you need to raise your pH. This is best accomplished by eating a variety of vegetables and/or juicing vegetables, doing yoga, thinking positive thoughts, spending time in nature, and socializing in person with people, actual people. Also, according to one study, just spending 1 hour a day in the sun may be just as effective as chemotherapy. The Buteyko breathing exercises may also fight Candida by increasing the amount of oxygen your body may absorb and distribute throughout your body. And of course, you can't forget the natural cancer-fighting properties found in many fruits and vegetables. To repeat my disclaimer, I would have to say that this information is not intended to be medical advice. I am not a physician, and you should consult a physician before trying anything I mention in this video. The information in this video is a hypothesis based on my anecdotal observations and is not intended to diagnose, cure, treat, or prevent any disease. This video is made for informational purposes only.